For the vast majority of NBA fans, Nikola Jokic is the best player in the world. And in last year's playoffs, Denver being as dominant as they were, Jokic basically averaging a 30-point triple-double. You'd think that playoff run, the caliber of that run, would silence everyone for at least the next year. Well, unfortunately, it hasn't.
Now, I do understand when they say this about Jokic. Jokic is probably statistically, when it comes to overall game, the worst MVP winner. He is the worst MVP winner in the last 40 years.
So to add some context right here, Gilbert was talking about Jokic MVP from 2021. And this take from Gilbert, the worst thing about it, it's not even original. This dude is copying Nick Wright's homework from 3 years ago and passing it off as his own. And 3 years later, this take, still as bad as it was in 2021. And historically speaking, saying Jokic that year had the worst statistical MVP in the last 40 years. I mean, that's beyond a brain-dead take. Look at Steph Curry in 2015 compared to Jokic in 2021. Just the stats. Jokic, more points, assists, rebounds, shot better from the field. 2011 versus Derrick Rose. The Joker, more points, rebounds, assists, steals, blocks, better shooting from the field, 3, and the line. Looking at the mid-2000s, Steve Nash. Take your pick, 05 or 06. Stats-wise, Jokic in 2021 was better than both of them. And last but not least, Karl Malone in 1999. If you're going to talk pure raw stats, raw numbers, Jokic in 2021 wasn't the worst MVP of the past 20 years. And if you want to look at the 80s, the mid-70s, I mean, I could go on and on and on with worse MVPs stats-wise than Jokic from 2021.
When Westbrook won it, his team had the 10th best record. Triple-double.
First time since Oscar Robertson is
He did something amazing. His team was 10th, but he did something that wasn't done since Oscar Robertson. When Jokic in 2021, Jokic's team was 5th. He averaged 26, 8, and 10. What was the historic part of that?
I never thought I'd see the day where 26, 11, and 8 isn't viewed as historic numbers. But if you want to talk history, comparing Jokic to Westbrook, Jokic in 2021, the first player ever, 2,000 points, 1,000 boards, and 500 assists in a single season. And comparing Russ in 2017 to the Joker in 2021, I really don't see the angle of attack to disprove Jokic deserving that MVP. And to refresh your guys' memory, that MVP race in 2021, it wasn't even close. Looking at the first place votes, the Joker got 91. Second place, Steph Curry got 5, he missed the playoffs. CP3 got 2 somehow. Then Joel, Giannis, even D Rose got 1 apiece. What bothers me to no end is that guys 3 years later will look back on this MVP and say, well, wasn't historically great, did he really deserve it? I don't think so. But in the moment, it was simply unquestioned who the MVP was. Like I've said in numerous videos, is there historical context for the MVP? Of course there is. But also at the same time, the award is given year by year. And speaking objectively, the candidates in 2021 were kind of weak. I mean, Steph's Warriors, they won 39 games. CP3's Suns, yes, they won 51. More of a team effort, collective effort. I mean, the winner of that award was Jokic by a mile, not even close.
There was no historian. Oh, the big man almost had a triple-double. Let's give it to him. That's what the narrative was. A big man almost, not did, almost won the triple-double, and they gave it to him when his team record was like that. His second MVP, his team was tied in 10th place. 10th best record in the NBA, 27, 8, and 13. What was historic about it?
I mean, actually quite comical. This guy with a straight face says 27, 14, and 8 on nearly 60% shooting isn't historically great and all-time dominant. If those numbers don't impress you, there's nothing that will. And providing some more context, in 2022, it was Jokic versus Embiid for who was the rightful winner of that award. And looking at their overall stats, Jokic, 27, 14, and 8 on absurd shooting splits. Joel, also pretty nice numbers, but stats-wise Jokic was superior. And if you want to look at any value metric, win shares plus minus, Jokic in all those categories definitively was more valuable to his team than Joel Embiid. At the time in 2022, the winner of this award wasn't controversial at all, as the Joker got 65 first place votes, Joel got 26, and Giannis had 9. That for an MVP is a pretty wide margin. And Jokic that year for Denver, minus Jamal Murray and MPJ, 3 less wins than Embiid, with Tobias Harris, Maxey, and James Harden for over 20 games. Joker's overall value that year, why he won the MVP, is because with Denver, despite missing his 2 best players, won 48 games. And looking at his on and off numbers, offensive rating on the court, 118.8, the best in the NBA. Off the court, dropped by 10 points to 27th best. Looking at their defensive rating, Jokic on the court, 110.4, a top 10 defense. Off the court, 116.8, second to last in the NBA. This MVP race happened less than 2 years ago, and already Gilbert Arenas, Shannon Sharpe trying to rewrite history and change the narrative.
Yeah. So look, his first 2 ones, he probably shouldn't have had those. If you go by history, last year, that should have been his, shouldn't have been Embiid's. Jason Tatum, team has been 1. He's been the best player. He's averaged 30. He's had the number with the rest of history. That was his MVP.
Serious question. Is this guy actually stupid? First off, saying Jokic, his first 2 MVPs, didn't deserve them. Gilbert, tell me then who did. 2021, the second place finisher was Steph Curry, who missed the playoffs. And by your own logic, you say being a top seed matters so much. 2022, Jokic's overall stats, his value numbers, better than Embiid. And minus his 2 best teammates, still had 3 less wins than Joel in a tougher conference. And here's the worst of all, saying Jason Tatum has been robbed of MVP numerous times by the Joker. I don't know what this dude's angle is, his problem with Jokic is, but this right here is one of the top 5 worst takes of all time. Jason Tatum in 2023 got a whopping 0 first place votes for the MVP. Don't even compare him to Jokic, compare him to someone like Giannis, who that year finished 3rd in MVP. Giannis versus Tatum, more points, assists, rebounds, and a better record. Clean cut, easy, Giannis, more deserving than Tatum. The awful attempt at revisionist history right here is kind of astounding.
Now, Jokic is sitting in first with great stats, right?
And you go win it.
Now, you know what I mean? Now you're sitting there like, well, shit. I mean, you know, we done cheated for him the last couple years, so we got to give it to him this year. We're dumbing down the game for a narrative.
Right.
If you want Euros to look like they're playing well, then just let them play well.
So, stopping it right there, this dude with a straight face said the NBA has been cheating for Jokic to win MVPs. What planet is this dude on? Jokic last year went through the ringer from the media. I mean, what were the narratives? Great player, not a winner. MVPs, but no championship. Great offensive player, on defense, a liability, his team will never win. Nick Wright, of course, the worst MVP of all time. And some even said Jokic wasn't the best player in the world or even top 3. The amnesia of some NBA fans, the blind ignorance from some fans, just astounds me. This stuff happened less than a year ago, and this dude with a straight face said the voters, the NBA media, are dumbing the game down for Europeans. Now hear me out, which take is dumber? Tatum's averaging 27 points per game on the first seed, he's the MVP. Or saying Jokic, averaging 27, 13, 8, being top 10 in points, rebounds, and assists, leading his team in every category but blocks, while on the offensive and defensive end, him on the court, they're top 10, him off the court, they're bottom 5. I mean, which take is more dumbed down and which take is more nuanced. Things like the MVP, it's not black and white, so cut and dry. Just because Tatum is the first seed doesn't mean by default he's the MVP. There's a lot more that goes into it, the nuance, the stats, the overall context of how good the player is and how great they're performing.
If you take it's the assist that we want to glorify that kind of puts his stat in another category, but it's not to the point where he did what Westbrook did. Oh, he averaged triple-double. We used, a big that can pass the ball. That's not how you do. You can't do that. And the fact that you did it for that, now his team is in first. It's like, well, you
got to give it to him.
You got to give it to him now. Like it's him, or you give Jason Tatum the MVP he deserves.
In all my videos on YouTube, I've never cursed, never sweared one time. But I'm getting so close to doing it right here. Because saying Jason Tatum is being robbed of the MVP that he rightfully deserves, it's actually infuriating to hear that. And this dude saying Jokic why he wins MVP is because of the assist. Has that ever been an argument for any of his awards? I really don't think so. And if it has, maybe one person in the world ever has said that, but assist being the major backbone of Jokic win the MVP, never been the case with me. And why Westbrook's being brought up yet again, I really don't understand that. Russ in 2017, yes. 30-10-10, fantastic, deserved that award. That doesn't mean every winner post-Westbrook has to put up a 30-point triple-double to win the award. Like I said earlier, this award has historical context, yes, but also is a year-to-year award based on competition you're facing in the moment.
Right, it's like, that's why I said, like, what is the criteria? Because you're giving mixed signals. No one, like, I know Jason Tatum's over there like, what do I need to do? My team's in first place. Every year, we've dominated every year. I'm the best player, and I'm playing very well. How am I not an MVP?
So that right there is our last clip, and before I get too pissed off, Tatum isn't the MVP. His overall stats numbers aren't as good as Jokic. And Tatum's overall value to Boston doesn't compare to Jokic's value for the Denver Nuggets. Tatum plays bad for Boston. Will they suffer? Of course they will. But Brown, Derek White, Jrue Holiday, Porzingis, they've got a squad that can carry the weight if Tatum plays bad. And if you watch the post-All-Star break Celtics, Jaylen Brown actually been their better overall player and the more consistent player compared to Tatum. In Denver, the offense runs through Jokic and the defense anchored by the Joker. This right here I would say is a top 5 most frustrating video I've ever made. As hearing Gilbert talk, even Shannon Sharp chime in, just so many narratives, false narratives, downright lies. As always, thank you guys for watching, hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next time.